The Tempest Domain subclass features make this a formidable melee spellcaster, incentivizing players to take up the frontline role in the party. Narratively, it gives us the tools to be the chosen champion of the God of Thunder, but by simply changing the damage type associated with the subclass, we can alter the flavor, giving players the option to build characters based around other elemental gods. In this video, I'll be offering 4 ways to reflavor the Tempest Domain Cleric and provide character ideas for each of the official 5th edition settings. Hey everyone, welcome to Dungeoneer's Pack. This is Josh and thank you for watching. The first reflavor idea changes the Tempest Cleric into a champion of the sun. Gods of Light and Flame are already represented with the Light Domain, but the subclass takes on a blaster role in combat. For those wanting to get up close wielding Flame and Light in one hand and a blade in the other, swapping out the Thunder and Lightning damage types with Fire and Radiant can turn you into a champion of any of the sun gods that are featured in 5th edition, such as Lathander and Forgotten Realms or Heliod and Theros. The most drastic change for this reflavoring will be the expanded spell list. Obviously, the Storm-based spells don't match up with this flavor, so instead, swap the Tempest Domain spell list with the Light Domain list. Wrath of the Storm becomes Radiant Retribution. Change the Thunder and Lightning damage types to Fire and Radiant. We now return Fire or Radiant damage at our enemies if we are struck. Destructive Wrath becomes Light's Fury, also changing the Thunder and Lightning damage types to Fire and Radiant, which will allow us to use our Channel Divinity to maximize any Fire or Radiant damage abilities we use. This feature is admittedly too strong with the Fireball spell, so don't be surprised if you ask to use this reflavor at your table and you are told no based on this interaction alone. And just like the other features, changing the Thunder damage and Thunderous Strike to Fire makes it Blazing Strike, with the Burst of Flame pushing enemies 10 feet away from you. Divine Strike could also see a damage switch going from Lightning to Radiant. Stormborn becomes Sun's champion, keeping the same features, only being allowed to fly when in the presence of the sun. Another idea is to swap out the lightning damage type with cold to embrace the harsh winter. With this damage change, we now become a champion of ice and snow. Our faith not only allows us to survive in the frozen wastes, we can control it. Tapping into some giant lore, we could be a follower of Thrym, the frost giant god of cold and ice. Or we can be a follower of the frost maiden Auril, gaining her affection to avoid her wrath. The domain spell list remains mostly the same except for 2 spells. Swap Call Lightning for elemental weapon, choosing only cold and thunder damage with the spell, and replace Insect Plague with Cone of Cold. Wrath of the Storm becomes Cold Snap, replacing the lightning damage with cold, acting similar to the Armor of Agathis spell, creating an aura of cold around us, punishing those that would strike us with freezing pain. Also switch the lightning damage type with cold for Destructive Wrath to be able to unleash the full power of winter with our attacks and spells. Thunderous Strike becomes Frigid Blow by again swapping the damage type, empowering our strikes with biting cold air, pushing enemies back. Stormborn becomes Frostborn, only being able to ride the cold air while outdoors. For those looking for less drastic changes and want to use the Tempest Domain Cleric as is, here are a couple of ways to flavor the subclass. It's no secret that the Tempest Cleric draws inspiration from Norse mythology, making it possible for players to create a character that can wield their own Mjolnir, smashing enemies just like Thor. Norse mythology is synonymous with the depictions of Vikings in various forms of media, even in D&D. Vikings are built into many classic fantasy settings, so making the Tempest Cleric inspired by them will immerse your character in the world. There are a few backgrounds that players can use to help cement the Viking inspiration into their character. Vikings are known to be seafaring people, roaming the seas finding other civilizations to trade with. The sailor background is a perfect fit for this, providing the necessary proficiencies to travel the waters. Another depiction of Vikings places them in remote villages away from major civilizations, with many members capable of making use of the land around them. The Outlander background is perfect for this. If you're looking for a setting-specific background, in the Forgotten Realms, the Uthgard tribes are visually inspired by Vikings, so choosing the Uthgard tribe member background from the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide will have you hail from Icewind Dale, as a member of one of the many tribes in the setting. Race options that lend themselves to the Viking imagery that you should consider are Goliaths, Dwarves, and humans. Drawing on common characteristics shown in media, your Viking-inspired Tempest Cleric is lethal in battle, being the first one to jump into the fight, always preferring to take action, but is a devoted guardian of the group and extremely loyal, putting the needs of the others before themselves. Many gods of the ocean like Poseidon, Kyrinos from Theros, or Umberlee from Forgotten Realms govern the weather over their waters, punishing those adrift at sea who do not gain their favor. Sailors and pirates make a perfect fit for Tempest Clerics, choosing to worship the deities of the sea for safe passage. The sailor and pirate variant backgrounds are a perfect fit for this, offering the necessary proficiencies for traversing the waters. Doubling down on the flavor, maybe your cleric spell focus is your compass. While most races that set foot on a boat fit the bill for a sailor or pirate, adding a bit of flair tying them directly to the waters helps too. A Triton or Water Genasi would be interesting picks for a sailor or pirate inspired Tempest Cleric. An undersea dwelling Triton would appear strange on a ship among cutthroats or merchants. Maybe they were sent on a quest to the surface, discovered by the crew, and decided to join up with them to complete their quest. Another idea is that they were exiled from the depths, finding shelter amongst folks on the surface who love the waters. We can draw inspiration from the swashbuckler rogue for the pirate Tempest Cleric's personality. They are a dastardly rogue with a heart of gold, quick-witted, charming, and deceptive, but will always come around to do the right thing for the group. Now let's take a look at some character ideas for each of the official 5th edition settings. In Forgotten Realms, we could be a sailor that is a follower of Valkyr. We sail the seas spreading the word of our god to curb the evil sea goddess Umberlee's influence. In Ravenloft, we could be a cleric of Umberlee, who traveled through the mist and found themselves washed ashore in Barovia, trying to survive and escape the demi-plane of dread. In Eberron, we could be a half-elf Dragonmark member of House Lorandar, powered by their mark and faith in their house, sailing the open air as a crew member of an airship. In Ravnica, we can be a Minotaur soldier for the Boros Legion. With a belief in our guild, we protect the city with our martial might and elemental powers. In Theros, we are an oracle for the god of the storms Kyranos, given a vision to prevent a great evil from destroying the plane. And finally, in Strixhaven, we are a student of Prismari, who prefer to take a hands-on approach, trying to become a great artist and learning to master shaping the elements to their will. With that said, I want to hear from you. What kind of Tempest Cleric character will you build? Let me know down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, I drop a video every week, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you want to support the channel directly, become a Dungeoneer and join the Patreon. Your support goes into making the channel and every video better. You can find a link to the Patreon in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.